This particular program is really just a rough draft of a turnaround program.
An attitude, a technique used to turn certain situations around.
Now, because you really shouldn't be hoping to change anyone else, really rather just change yourself, towards such an aim of changing yourself, the programming you're taking in just now is loaded with intentions and techniques from neuro-linguistic programming and cognitive behavioral therapy and various other state-of-the-art mental, emotional, psychological, coaching, healing, magical
arts, techniques and methodologies that are specifically designed to help you how much more powerfully refocus on those visions, programs, desires in life, life goals and plans that you maybe once lost a little bit of sight of, or that you maybe nearly manifested but you've maybe left hanging there just waiting for that final push because of the stresses that have happened in your life lately. So how are we going to do that then, do you reckon? How, precisely, are we going to refocus our manifesting abilities back into all the things we've almost manifested? And how are we going to deal with the stresses? How? Well, having done a lot of this life coaching and neuro-linguistic programming and cognitive behavioral therapy stuff, I do have some answers. Plenty of techniques and methodologies, as I already said earlier. I've done tens of thousands of pounds worth of training. So without persuading you, I mean, you'll go with it or you won't, let's use them. Let's use the techniques and methodologies. The techniques from neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, life coaching, emotional freedom technique, emo trance, specific types of law of attraction skills, Huna and Ho'oponopono. So at just 2 minutes into the program, let's start with step 1. And a little secret here is that it doesn't matter which order you do the steps in, and it doesn't matter how many of the steps you remember to do. You'll learn to gather tools and use them in your own creative way. Like some creative potter sitting at the potter's wheel, you will learn to constantly, accidentally hold a certain focus of intentionality as your natural default level. The way that you know how many professionals do within their profession. Okay, let's begin. Part of neuro-linguistic programming, actually part of all of our real true realities, is that we constantly utilize personal codes of manifesting without even realizing we're doing it. Each and every one of us does. Little unconscious habits that if we learn to notice, we can make more deliberate. Now, you've had a situation in your life recently, haven't you, that has meant that a certain part of your stresses can now be assigned to your past. You know the one, don't you? Yeah, that one. That one that says that those stresses that you've suffered as a result of that situation can now be assigned to the past. Well, you model certain realities by modelling them. How does that feel? How different, how good does that feel now? Knowing that those stresses are now in the past. Knowing you can breathe easier and relax. How much more chilled. Knowing the kind of things you can let go of and get done. Knowing how many things you can focus that much better on. How much better. That feeling of having assigned something to the past. Well, one of the tricks in NLP is to elicit the submodalities of having assigned something to the past, whatever that means, and superimpose those submodalities onto anything you want assigned to the past. But what does that mean and how do you do it? Well, the quickest and simplest way is to simply push those feelings onto whatever situation it is that you want assigned to the past. And your subconscious mind will do the rest. Influence your mind, influence your behaviour, etc. That's the way it works. But just to give you a more detailed methodology, a neuro-linguistical programming technique, because it's super duper, what you do is recall that situation, that change in your circumstances that means that you can assign those stresses to the past. And do you get an image? Do you get a picture? Well, the image, picture or vision is one of your modalities. Sight is a modality, one of the sensory modalities, is it not? So obviously the sub-modalities of sight are things like, is it black and white or colour? Is it near or far? Is it big or small? What's the clarity of that picture like? What is the contrast like? All kinds of details like this. Anything about the vision, the sight of it, that is particularly outstanding. And are there sounds? Loud or soft? High-pitched or low-pitched? Gentle or staccato? Music or voices? What sounds are involved in that vision? That change in situation that means that you can now put all of those stresses into the past. And how about sensations? Any particular bodily sensations anywhere in your body? Anywhere in your room, house, garden, surroundings, town, country, the planet, the universe. Any butterflies in your tummy? Other sensations internally? In your head? How about on your skin? Eliciting all of these things means deliberately applying such submodalities onto a target, doesn't it? And I'm going to let you into another little secret here. And that is that some mind programming change modality teachers will teach you that this is the way of doing submodalities, belief or reality change, and that submodalities is used specifically and only for belief change. But it isn't. Submodalities can also be used for reality change, for changing your reality and the way you respond to your reality. And I'm also going to add a far quicker way of doing the submodalities belief and reality change in getting you to make that same expression that you made and make when you know something is part of your past, creating the same bubble, and assume the same character and expression you made and make when you see things that are real and true and manifest in your face in your life. Kinesthetically reverse engineering those things that you do want manifest and real in your life, and moving those things you want in your past into the past now. Noticing as something new and desired is becoming more real and manifesting in your life. You know, you irk and twist yourself in one way. When that change has occurred, that means you can assign those stresses to the past. And you maneuver yourself in the other way when that thing that you've desired for so long is now coming true, isn't it? At this point, is it true to say that most of the things you'd want to assign to the past, if I asked you to make a list, would you be able to? I mean, immediately. Right now, right this very second. 'Cause I'll let you into another little secret. And that is, with my NLP training, if you can, that's excellent. And if you can't, that's excellent. Here, in this program, we are using both. And both and neither are excellent. 'Cause I say so. I will explain and demonstrate. When you finally do start making a list and really recalling all of those things that you want to assign to the past, you know, the repeated behaviour patterns you had, those personal blocks that used to raise their ugly faces in your life, those characters that once appeared, those situations you manifested for yourself. When you finally start being able to recall all of those, that'll be excellent, because you'll have something to work spells upon. Oops, did I say spells? I meant neuro-linguistic programming and cognitive behavioural therapy techniques, and all of the other methodologies and modalities. Meanwhile, if you can't quite remember any of anything, even your own name right now, then that is also excellent, because that means that all of those things, including the hat you wear, for some people, are actually stored in your unconscious. And it's well known in all change modalities, NLP, hypnosis, cognitive behavioural therapy, and all the rest of them, that the things that have the most power, if you want something to have the most amount of power, then it's best, actually, that it is within your unconscious. I insist that you do understand. Get it? They call me Bullseye, because in my hands, anything is a weapon. Well, they don't necessarily call me anything. I'm a wizard. And I'm not explaining any further than that. Here's the thought. As you go through life, and you move in and out of the jobs you do, you may hear that bloke talking about selling. You know, here's the company something or other. And he rants and raves at you about selling yourself. And you know what? I've forgotten what I was going to say. Thing is, dickheads, this bloke, this company, whatever the big wiggy is, 6 months down the line when the company's bankrupt, they've made their money from their big insurance scam, the company is in receiver's hands and taken on by someone else. That bloke is going to crawl back under whatever rock he came out from. He was only getting on at you because he's a bad-tempered, grumpy old git. Someone's cynical granddaddy who's overstressed at home, overstressed at work, and overstressed at play, so he takes his shite out on you. He doesn't give a damn about all this stuff that he's talking about. You know, that you've got to push to sell yourself, that in this life you've got to sell your soul to the devil. He doesn't care. He never did. He's only saying it because he wants to blow his trumpet. He thinks he's found a right likely target to pick on, the way that these grumpy old gits do. Why am I telling you this? I dunno. Does it matter? Just let it go. Similarly in life, you'll grow up with your brothers and sisters, and the sibling rivalry you have will, sooner or later, blow you all apart, and you'll all go your separate ways. And there'll be so very little real brotherhood or sisterhood when you've got all cynical about that, to the point where you think you've got something that you can teach to other people. Is that teach or is that preach?
You'll reach a point where you think you've been through it, and that's the end of it. You'll go through it, you'll grow through it, and maybe you'll just grow up and become a better or worse person for it. You've been there, you've done that, you've worn the t-shirt, you can go about your own business now. Oh no, you can't. You will go through the same with your aunts and uncles, and you will be the one that feels it. You will be the one whose emotions are arrested. You will be the one whose head is fucked up by it all. You. No one else. You. Only you. Only you. And then you might think it's over. You know, you've learnt your lesson about repeated behaviour patterns and going through the same types of relationships over and over, and you might hope to move on. You might think that understanding and realising the things you understand and realise about yourself and life allows you to move on. But oh no, it doesn't. You're then going to go through the same thing again with friends of your parents and their kiddies and their kiddies' kiddies. And again, you are going to be the one that feels it all. You are going to be the one it drains, because you reckon you're the great observer you are. And then guess what? You're going to marry into the same game again, before you're really ready. That family are going to seem like they love one another better than your family ever did. And they're going to say it to you. You're going to be made to feel so guilty, destroyed at the fact that they support one another more than your family ever did. And then some time down the line, you're going to see the same thing happen in that family. The same jealousies and envies that you could have said you saw coming years ago. The same bitchinesses that you grew out of and moved away from and took your freedom from years ago. And it's going to break your heart, wipe you out, destroy you, and give you a serious headache. You are going to see the same repeated behaviour patterns over and over and over again. Why? Okay, stop. How do you feel just now? Upset? Angry? Like you want to escape? There you go, that's the power of words for you. Are they true? Does it matter? Does it ever really matter what words are true and when? That's the power of words for you. Is it true, or is this just a cynical view that you're going to go through this repeated behaviour pattern over and over and over again? Well, it depends how you look at it. I asked you to stop a moment ago. I could have said, yeah, go on, answer that question of why. Why are you going to see them same repeated behaviour patterns over and over and over again? Answer the question. Why? Why are you going to see this repeated behaviour patterns over and over and over again? Why? Is that because it's you? Is it really because, despite the fact that you say you're a wizard, you are actually a wizard? And despite whether or not you say you're a wizard, in the same way that everyone's a wizard of their own lives. Let's cut this short. To answer why, the answer to why is really until you really learn to stop it, until you really learn to change it, because it is you that's doing it. I should say it is you that's allowing it. It's you that's done it a number of times, and it's become something of a repeated behaviour pattern, and there are other wizards out there who've cottoned on to that, and they are playing on those strings and insisting that a thing that you repeated a number of times has snowballed into a repeated behaviour pattern. Take the power back. Realise that there is a difference between something that you have accidentally or not repeated a number of times and a repeated behaviour pattern. Take the power back by saying that it is not a repeated behaviour pattern. It is merely something that you have inadvertently repeated a number of times. By doing that, you permit the power within you to change it. That's a start. Feel the headache lifting. Yeah, when you are the victim of your own repeated behaviour pattern, that's the very thing that gives you brain fog. It puts a furrow in your brow in making you wonder, what the fuck you're playing at, why you're doing that, why is this occurring. It's a mental loop, a madness, that makes you both confused and frustrated at yourself. Surely makes you wonder where your head's at. Just because you've repeated something a number of times, don't necessarily mean that that is a repeated behaviour pattern. Anyone who uses the phrase repeating behaviour pattern upon you is trying to cast a spell on you. Is trying to use something you've habitually, maybe accidentally done, to bind you, to put a binding spell upon you. These people are clever, or they think they are, by pulling such wool over your eyes. You are not trapped in some repeating behaviour pattern. You have merely repeated a few things a number of times, just like every single person does. You can empower yourself further by learning as many valuable things as you can from this. Ask the question why, and whatever answer pops into your mind is a suitable thing for you to use to empower your life with. Any answer to the question why, no matter how crazy that seems. Maybe you have been round and round that little loop for a while in order to motivate you into asking the question, am I not worth more than this? Am I, as a human being, not worth more respect than this? Am I, being the kind of person I am, not due better than this? And at that you can start listing the kind of person you are, how loyal you are, how helpful you are, how kind and considerate you are, how hard-working you are when you are, how creative you are, how warm-hearted you are. And at the same time you can also realise that in actual fact you're not due anything. No one is ever actually due anything. Life is actually what you make it. But when you're asking questions like, being the kind of person I am I not due better than this? Motivates you to get out there and take life by the balls and squeeze exactly what you want out of it. You kept going through that same loop in order to teach you to break out of that loop. And it's as easy as if you were a child stepping off a roundabout.
So, back to how do you feel? How do you feel if it is true that you are creating some certain repeated behaviour patterns that you don't seem to like? You take those feelings and put them into some kind of magical container just now, and superimpose your sub-modalities of assigning something to the past. And if you're still struggling to understand exactly how to do that, that's excellent, because the information you've taken in being quite long so far, and being speed spoke at you, maybe being a little overwhelming, certain points being repetitive, means that the knowledge, ability and talent of doing so is firmly under the control of your unconscious. In one of my past NLP programs, in which I was trying to gather up some kind of positivity, it had this visualization where I imagine sending out these kind of magical psychic sheepdogs to gather up and round up those positive situations. I can't remember the name of the program, and I'm sure I'll come across it at some point soon. It was very reminiscent of that scene within the movie Elektra, where that tattooed guy, I think his name was actually Tattoo, sent out those astral wolves from one of his tattoos. So, simultaneously, as you are moving those feelings about those repeated behaviour patterns and modelling it into your past, send out your psychic, magical hunting sheepdogs, specifically to gather up and round up all of the positive desires, thoughts, ideas, ideals, plans, even especially those that you've had actually come true, and bring them all back to you in such a way that in the way that they come back to you, they swish into your body and mind. And yes, they can. It's your body and mind after all. It is your magical working. Again, in such a way that almost instantly, these memories, thoughts, ideas, ideals create within you the will to write them down using pen and paper. Swish. Whoosh. 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 Swish, 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 swish. And it doesn't actually matter whether you remember what those visualizations, ideas, and ideals actually are, because you're creating a magical energy potentiality and giving yourself a permission to remember them. The house the way you want it, so that you can work all those projects you've ever wanted to work in that nice, warm and friendly place, with plenty of garden and scenery, where the rooms are big enough to swing a cat and a party, so that the walls are big enough, so that you can choose any of all 4 or 5 walls in any of the rooms on which to create a backdrop for your selfie videos or artwork to beautify life. This place where it's easy to build your conservatories, gazebos, outhouses, sheds, summer houses, earth ships, experimental projects into alternative energy, solar, wind, geothermal, and grow enough produce to feed your entire family and put some on the market. Space that you can also lend out and hire out to local martial arts groups or other groups that practice other kinds of physical cultures. wealth flowing to you through the people that respect your word, your words, that they hear through your online presence and follow you with their own personal loyalty. Constantly improving health, vitality, fitness, good looks, high confidence and self-esteem, complete with total domination, control and diminishment of all these little niggling little bodily pains you once had. The sun shining for you, life open and encouraging to you, happiness, joy and laughter abounding, total shielding against all negativity automatically without ever having to do anything, resilience and esteem, respect, power, kudos and wealth. Wherever you go, whoever you talk to, whatever you say, however you express yourself about any subject. Now, just as intelligently and powerfully as we did earlier, in modelling this repeated negatory behaviour into the past, we're going to take all the energies we've created in visualising, speaking, writing, drawing, and whatever else we've done, and superimpose onto that thought form the submodalities of real, true, present and manifest. How? By thinking about something right now that is real, true, present and manifest in your life right now. So, what is there? Name something that is real, true, present and manifest in your life right now. Something very physical that you simply cannot deny is real and true and in your face. Something that is definitely powerfully there. Definitely powerfully exists. Especially if it is a much loved part of your life. Something in your life that commands your attention, that you have strong feelings about, that you couldn't get away from, even if you wanted to. Name that thing right now. The vision of that thing you have in your head, is it black and white or colour, near or far, bright or dim, fuzzy and hazy or sharp? Is it framed or not? Moving or still? What type of movement? Is it flat or 3D? Are there any sounds of that thing which is real and true and definitely there in your life? If there are any sounds, are they high-pitched or low-pitched? Are they smooth or staccato? Is there any direction or directionality to those sounds? Are the sounds of or the sounds made by that thing that is real and true and definitely manifest in your life, are they smooth or gravelly? What's the tone and timbre? Anything particularly individualistic or unique about the sounds of or from or made by that thing that is definitely real and true and fully manifest and in your face in your life? You'll get to a point where you'll go through a kind of progression. Firstly, you'll notice that you'll personally be able to do the submodalities thing faster and faster. You'll be able to elicit all the sights, sounds and feelings of those things that are in your past and visualise the things that you want in your past with those submodalities. And you'll very soon and very quickly be able to elicit the submodalities of things that are real and true and present and manifest and visualise the things that you do want as real and true and present and manifest in your life with those submodalities. In fact, you'll get so good at it faster and faster and faster that you'll soon be able to make a gesture. A short little movement that physically quickly moves something past you, communicates to your lower, mid and higher selves that this thing is something that you used to do, you once did, and that rather than this, that amazingly desired vision of exactly and specifically what it is that you do want is expressed as real and true and present and manifest. Won't you? Aren't you? Now. And as you get faster and faster of that, that also means that you'll then progress on to having a kind of automatic habit of simultaneously kind of sliding the little negs past you and out into your past while manifesting those wonderful things that you really do desire onto the ground of your manifest present physical reality. And as your understanding of this and other NLP techniques and other techniques develops, you'll also come to see how you yourself have manifested the negative in order to open you up for the positive. The negative will challenge you, open you up and create a gap. You'll slide the neg past you and into your past and take advantage of that opening and move the desired into present real manifest. Aren't you learning to make it a posture in which the one hand is assigning negs to the past, while the other hand is manifesting desires in the present? You got one hand assigning things into the past, while the other hand manifests the things you like. It'll be like, And sure, you'll also learn to make silly sounds and gestures. They're the proto-mantras and proto-mudras, like Negya was Donka, Ahusa, Healtha, Wealtha, Kudomojo. Okay, this video is now 25 minutes long, and I know of one person pointing no elbows at my wife who struggles to stay and listen for 25 minutes. So I'm going to end it here, but before I do, this is not the end, not by any means. Much of the information is now embedded in your unconscious mind, and that last thing I said in this particular recording is still probably echoing between your ears through your halls. In my next talk, I'm going to cover a technique to use if you're still in two minds about the most powerful way of utilising the information I've given you by fully believing in it. On you now. Whoosh.